Hey, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to um, How to Delegate Systems, right? So, we are talking about today how to delegate systems. So, it's all about the systems. And today, yes, we're talking about software systems. We're talking about your routine, your processes. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Jennifer J. I am the Premier VA. I create and set up systems and automations for business owners so they can grow and scale their businesses from 6 to 7 figures. I do it because there's a gap in the industry. Most people didn't start their businesses to create systems, set up systems. They just wing it, right? We don't teach about systems. Um, there's no guide that says these are the systems, this is what you need to implement, these are the systems you need to go get. And so that's where I come in at. I only talk about systems that I have personally used for myself and my clients that I know work. There are 1,000,001 systems. There are 1,000,001 ways to get things done. What I talk about is what I know works, and that's what you get when you are interacting with me. Okay. So, and then the systems, and one thing I want to preference is a lot of people don't really get this until they actually talk to me, or if they've been in a presentation that I've had, they don't understand why I go so hard for certain systems. Specifically Active Campaign, people just don't really get it. And it's not until you get to that point to where you understand that Active Campaign is just not about email marketing. They offer so much more in productivity. They offer so much more in their automations that most people can't even strategically think of. And that's one system that I use to automate a lot of things in the back end that has nothing to do with email marketing. Okay. It's for productivity's sake, it's to help. And we're going to talk about that in this series of delegating systems because it helps with that. So let's get into it. All right. Delegating. Now, I know what delegating is, but I said, well, let me Google the definition so I can give an intelligent definition of what is really delegating. So when I looked it up, the dictionary definition says, and the dictionary definition is really disrespectful. I don't like it. But it says to entrust a task or responsibility to another person, typically one who is less senior than oneself. First of all, where did this come from? Oxford. First of all, Oxford. That is rude and disrespectful and needs to be changed, okay? Because just because you delegate something to someone, that does not mean that they're less senior than yourself, okay? I found that offensive because in the entrepreneur world, we are all equals. We are on a team, and it's not about seniority. It's about you know how to do something well that I don't know how to do. You handle that. I'll handle this. We're equals. So first of all, that's disrespectful and rude, and I don't like it. But delegating means I turn everything into my own terminology. So delegating means to task or give someone else a responsibility. That's it. That's it. And it has nothing to do with seniority. It's about staying in your lane, right? It's doing what you do best and staying there, right? I'm on a team of people who, if that's not my responsibility, you know what? One thing featuring Jose Says is, that's not my ministry. If it's not my ministry, I'm over here. I'm over here in my lane. Okay? I'm not in your lane. I'm not in your lane. I'm in my lane. That's all delegating is. It's giving something to people who do things more efficiently than you, right? It has nothing to do with seniority. So, first of all, Oxford or somebody needs to send this to Oxford. You need to change that because it's offensive. All right. Now, that's what delegating is. So when we delegate systems, the first thing that we need to make sure that we have in place is what? Processes, right? You're not going to be able to get around processes. You're not going to be able to get around having your processes documented. You're just not. So stop running from it. Get my playbook and start getting your processes documented in your business. Okay. Because before you can tell somebody else, here's what you need them to do in your business, they need to know what to do, right? So unless it's someone like me or you're working on a team and that person is the expert and you don't really know what they do, you just need to know, I need this done. You still need to have that documented. What is it that you want me to do? What do you want me to set up? What systems? There's still going to be a level of questions that you're going to have to answer based on that. You can't just tell someone how to do something. Tell someone to do something without telling them how to do it. Okay. So the very, very first thing is start with the processes. Have you documented your processes? If you have not, that is where you need to start, no matter where you are in your business. That is where you need to start. Life happens. And as life happens, if we are entrepreneurs and our business is our sole provider of income and we don't have a second stream, if that business fails, then everything is just going to come crumbling down. So you got to have this done so that somebody can jump in and just take over and know where to take over. I apologize for my dog. Definitely, please, 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 if you don't do anything else, you have to have this done, because if life happens, if something happens, God forbid, if something happens to you, there is no way of continuing. Like, what did you start your business for? Most of us started our business so that we can create generational wealth, right? How can I pass this down? Or how can my team continue to move forward with this business and continue to provide that generational wealth if they don't know what to do? They don't know what's next. So you have to have your processes documented. You just have to. It's not about you telling somebody, well, this is how you do it. No. If you can tell them, you can tell Google Docs and turn on the voice typing feature, and then now you have a documented process. It's that simple. Don't make it hard. It's not about you sitting down writing things out. If that's your preference, fine. Other than that, you can sit here and talk to all kind of devices, your phone, your tablet. Now computers have it. Go to Google Docs, go to tools, go down to voice typing, turn that on, talk. Get it on the paper. At least it's on the paper. At least it's somewhere where someone else can access other than you. Because if you write it down, somebody has to have access to that, right? So you want to make sure that it's somewhere accessible. All right. So number one in delegating systems is start with the process. I'm begging you. This is me begging you. Please start with the process. Everything starts with the process. Document it. Document it. All right. I'm off my soapbox on that, but document. your processes. Okay. Number 2 in delegating systems is put people in place to manage those systems, right? Easier said than done. Okay. So putting people in place, you have to make sure you have the right people in the right system. All right. So doing the right thing for them. So one way that I measure that in my business is with the DISC assessment. Okay. So I use the DISC assessment to analyze whether or not my team members are in the correct position. Or if I'm hiring, I use the DISC assessment to say, okay, are you going to be efficient in this position? Or what additional tools do I need to provide for you? Okay. And if you want to learn more information about the DISC assessment and become a certified, so this is one thing where additional professional development benefits you in the long run. You can go to www.thefourthpower.com, and that's how I got certified and learned how to analyze not just my team, but my clients so that I can recommend the correct things based on their potential behavior using the DISC assessment. So again, that's www.thefourthpower.com. I'm telling you, it was one of the best things I implemented in my professional development journey. Okay, because it just helps you analyze everything. It helps you analyze your avatar. It helps you with your marketing. It helps you so much more in your business than you can even imagine. So if you don't invest in yourself, how do you expect other people to invest in you? So again, www.thefourthpower.com. We have one opening April 1st is the next cohort. So if you want to learn how to get this strategically done, then definitely do that. But I put people in place to manage the systems, right? So on your team, you base what system is going to work well for what person, right? And again, I analyze that using a DISC. So there's the DI, the S, and the C. So of course, if I have a high I, a person that has a high I, and I'm not going to get all into this, again, you can go to thefourthpower.com, learn how to get certified. If I have a high I person, I know that if this person is really going to work for me, number one, I'm going to put them in sales and in charge of social media strategies. Would be what I would do, and customer service based on the other factors that they have to accompany that high I. But I know that because I studied the DISC, and because a lot of times people are in positions that don't serve them. It's not about the system, it's about what they need to accurately work the system properly, right? So by doing that, you are making it more efficient, because a lot of times people say, well, this system doesn't work. No, it's that you haven't taken the time to learn your team members, to understand why it's not working and what additional support they may need to help them work the system. So once you put people in place to manage the systems, make sure you have the right people in place. Number 3 is very important, and I feel like every business should do this. Get feedback. So set benchmarks to say, okay, I'm going to give feedback every 30, 60, 90 days, or every 60 days, or every 90 days from the team members, so that we can figure out, how is this system working? What improvements do we need to make for the systems? And what do we need to do better? Is there a better system? Maybe they have recommendations. So I'm going to tell you a little story about me and who I am. Anytime I come into contact with any business operation, this was even me in my 9 to 5, I always made recommendations on how to do things better, right? That is one thing that really made me stand out, because it's like, this is some inefficient crap, right? That's what most of us think about, when we're working a 9 to 5. I hate this job. Why are we using this? Is stupid. Let's do this. Let's do that. That's usually what you're saying, but you're saying it at your desk, in your office, in your cubicle. No, I took those complaints that I had and said, listen, this is how we can make this better. This is how we can make this more efficient. I will implement it, and it won't cost anybody a thing, because it's using the systems that we already have that we're not using. Like, this makes no sense that we're working so hard to get something done. So I always saw a way to do something better, and I spoke about it. So I tell my team, if you see something, say something. And that's for anybody who comes in contact with any of my stuff. If you see something, say something. Okay? Don't just sit there and complain and you don't have a solution to the problem. So in your business, this is your way of telling your team, listen, if you see something that can be improved and make us more efficient, help our clients, help our customers, and now we're getting more done, we're satisfying more people, which means it's bringing in more business. Why wouldn't you want, hey Mecca, why wouldn't you want your team to say something? So have checkpoints and benchmarks that you check in with your team to make sure that things are running the way that you plan for them to run. Because a lot of times, if you don't do that job, you have no idea. And I know a lot of you know what I'm talking about, because it's a lot of managers out here that don't know what you do, but they try to tell you what to do. And it's like, you don't even know. You don't even have a clue what I go through. And that's not even achievable what you're recommending. So this is why you want to ask them. Ask them, because they're the ones who's doing it every day. They're the ones who's interacting. And yes, you may have done it. You can say, I did that before I hired you. Yeah, but how long ago was that? And things have changed, and there are better ways to do everything, right? So number 3, make KPIs to check in with your team on how to make the systems more efficient. Are they working? Do they recommend anything different? Number 4, implement the changes. Implement them. Why would you ask for feedback and never implement? I don't understand that for the life of me. Why do you ask my opinion if you're not going to take my suggestions? So that's definitely a pain point I know a lot of people can resonate with, because it's like, your job, they have these meetings and you're sitting in these meetings like, I could be doing my work. This is a waste of time. You're not going to listen to what I'm saying anyway. Don't be that person. Don't be that person. Implement the changes your team is asking for. Okay. So now, and make sure you document them. So go back to those processes, make a revision, change the processes, and now you have the most up-to-date processes, and everyone is happy. All right. So systems. Let's talk about the systems. Project management system is a must. Okay. So you must have a project management system to be able to delegate. You don't want to get into emailing people what to do. You don't want to get into using text messaging. You want to be able to measure. How can you measure performance if you're texting your team what to do, or you're using voice notes? How can you measure their performance, right? So we have to get away from that, doing that type of business. Because once you're removed from that, How can you hire an operations manager to come in and pick up where you left off at? You need to have a project management system. So what project management system do I recommend? That's not my ministry, but I will be doing a live with Ashley Schuler, who project management is her thing. But Asana is the cheapest, it's free, it's the easiest to use, it's the most adaptable, it automates. I love ClickUp. She loves ClickUp. My business partner loves ClickUp, but we're super techie, and that's why we love ClickUp. But if people can make ClickUp easier, like Ashley Schuler can make ClickUp easier, then you can use ClickUp. But Asana, simple task your team, task them. So when I worked in a hospital, we used Outlook. Okay. We use Outlook because that's what the hospital used. And that's how I knew what I had to do. Okay. So I worked for a couple nurses in the transplant department. I love them. I miss them dearly too. But I knew what I had to do daily because they tasked me. So when I came in, my first thing was like, okay, let me look at my task list. Let me prioritize. So if you don't have a project management system, then how can people know what to do? Are you going to use emails and then they'll be like, oh, I didn't see that email? No, when they task me, and I know what's high priority. So if it says get Mr. Johnson in today, he needs to get his testing today, then that's high priority. That's the task I'm going to work on first. So you definitely have to have a project management system to delegate. Okay. And you want to make one that is measurable. Have one that is measurable. Texting your team to tell them what to do is not measurable. Emailing them is inefficient and not measurable. All right. You need to have some system where you could say, I tasked Katie 30 tasks this month and she busted out 25. 5 of them are waiting on information from me, or 2 of them are on hold, whatever. So you're able to see what your team members are doing. Even if you're not the one tasking them, say you have an operations manager, you want to see how things are going. You should be able to go into the system and look and see, okay, these people were tasked and this person is not doing their task or not moving tasks to complete. So let me check in with the operations manager and see what's going on here. This is the way you're able to tell how your team is performing, right? And this is a way to make it scalable so that you can hire other people to come in and manage your company for you. Because if you're emailing and you're texting, I don't know what that text message was. I can't take over from my teammate that may be sick or may be having a life crisis. I can't come in and help her because she's texting and tasking people. How would I know what to do? So you always have to think about, can someone else jump in and take over where someone else had to? Maybe they were sick. Maybe they can't come in. Maybe whatever. I don't want to put anything on anybody, but life happens. And we need to be able to have processes in our business to cover everyone when life happens, right? So a project management system will cover a lot of that, backed up with your processes documented, right? Okay, so definitely project management system is number one. All right, how are you going to delegate and tell people what to do and when it needs to be done by? Okay, you need to have a project management system. Number 2, you need to be able to have all of the systems in place for them to be able to manage their job, whatever that is. Okay. So if you're telling them to, okay, so like for my team, we set up projects. All right. So I need to have access. They need to have access to the systems to set the projects up. So let's just talk about ActiveCampaign. So for ActiveCampaign, say you have a membership program. All right. And with a membership program, you're going to need to account for certain things. You're going to need to account for cancellations. You're going to need to account for who's coming in, who's leaving, and you're going to need to account for certain products that you may have people to purchase in your funnel, right? So one thing that Active Campaign does and does very well is as these people come in, you give them their confirmation or their welcome email. But what it'll also do is send those people's information to a Google Sheet, right? And so now this Google Sheet can be housed in a Google Drive that your assistant can now be notified, or if they're tracking that information, they have that information in real time as it's happening. So they're able to look at this Google Sheet and say, okay, these are the people that came in this week, or these are all of the people that purchased this particular product, and these are all the people that canceled, right? So okay, so definitely that is just one example of how automation in Active Campaign can help that has nothing to do with email marketing. Another system that you definitely need to have as far as delegation is a communication system. So whether that's Slack, whether you use Zoho and you use, what is it called, Disk or Circle or whatever, whatever communication system you have, it needs to be efficient so that you can communicate efficiently with your team. And there's a record of that communication. Now, there's communication channels in Asana. There's communication channels in ClickUp. It's just what works for your team and you, and what's going to work best. So you know what your mandatory points are, right? You know what you have to have in order for this to work. So if you have to have I gotta have a mobile device, right? So that's one thing you have to look at. Does this system have a mobile device? Can I put this on my phone? I need to have it on my phone. Can I manage it on my phone? So that's another thing that you need to definitely make sure that you have communication set up so that you can communicate efficiently with your team and nothing is getting lost in translation. And that your team knows this is our communication channel. This is how we communicate with one another. And that's definitely in your processes and your standard operational procedures for your internal business, right? So just to recap, for all of you that are coming in who may not know me, my name is Jennifer J. I am the Premier VA. I create and set up systems and automations for business owners so that they can grow and scale their business with system and automation. We are talking about delegating systems, okay? One thing that will help you guys with delegating systems is definitely the systems playbook. If you have not gotten it, you can get it. Just go to pvaplaybook.com and get the systems playbook. It helps you with documenting your processes and just getting your business ready so you won't have to get ready. Okay. So delegating your processes, number one, delegating your systems. How to delegate. What is delegate? It's just a task or responsibility entrusted to another person, right? Start with the process. Number one, start with the process, document them. Number two, put people in place to manage the system. Number three, get feedback from those managing the system on how to improve them. So set KPIs to check in with your team on how to improve your processes. Okay. Your systems. And number four, implement the processes, the changes that your team your team told you to do. Okay. So guys, definitely if you have any questions, you can post them. guess I'm checking to see if I have any questions. I don't see any currently. I don't think. But yes. So I wonder if this works. So definitely make sure that you are listening to your team, you're implementing the changes that they're asking you to make, because you guys are a team, and without them, you'll be back overworked, overwhelmed, not spending time, health issues, and all of that. So why wouldn't you listen to your team and making things easier for them to implement what they need to implement, right? So, all right. I am out. Awesome. I think. Just making sure. One more check. And all right. So we're out of here. I will see you guys next week. Same time, same back channel. We're going over everything systems. Get the systems playbook. It will help you understand where to start with systems in your business, where to start, what do I do, what systems do I choose, how do I set them up. It goes over all of that. So pvaplaybook.com, and I will see you guys next week.